Okay, now I'll. Maybe I'll sit here. Yeah, I hope I come in this.
Do you want me to sit
Yeah,
there that you can see?
Huh?
If I sit there, you see how it looks? You will see later.
Yeah, if you can sit here. Yeah. I was thinking of asking you whether I'm visible or not. Oh no, I'm going out. A little out. So I'll bring it a little behind. Yeah, now I'm getting covered. Yeah. No, it's fine.
Okay.
I'm still covering up myself. So, good morning, Tara. Om Namah Shivaya.
Good morning, Om
Good
Namah
morning,
Shivaya. Namaste.
Namaste. And it's wonderful to come across a person like you. And I saw when I came across Haidakhan Baba, G's, about. I wanted to know about him. I started searching on YouTube, which is the main source of information, and I came across some of the stories which people were narrating, telling about their experiences with Babaji. I think one of the first few videos which popped up was about you talking about it. Then I saw quite a few videos which I told you before also, and I found your journey was very inspiring, and it was all coming from inside, and there was some connection I thought you have, and especially with your previous prior experiences in your work and your level of education and all the exposure you had in life traveling in the world. You had a very different way of seeing things and very different perspective. It appeared to be very realistic, so obviously it was inspiring, your life journey and your connection and how you turned around and followed your heart. People who follow the heart and they do radical changes in their life, and the goal is to, we all are seeking the same goal, I think, inherently. So this is like pretty much hidden, but if somebody can see through these such inspiring stories, there can be a lot of learning for them, and these stories guide, like they say, that the guru is in. I was reading Yog Vashisht in Yog Vashisht. It is mentioned that guru is supposed to inspire you and guide you, but not handhold you all the time. It is all about your own journey, your own effort. So this is something which resonated with your journey, and I was little. I've been thinking that if I come to Haidakhan, I will like to, have more conversation. We had a interesting conversation last year when we met. It was, I call it like, it was a little radical and short, and we couldn't really talk, but I always had this in mind that if I come, I will like to meet you. And I have a platform on my channel where I actually been interacting with people on the spiritual path, yogis, and mainly it is yogis, but I mean not yogis dressed in a yoga, but now I'm coming across people who are, they're like a yogi, and so that's for the reason I came. And I will probably request you if you can tell again, about your journey for the benefit of the viewers, and what is your perspective of spirituality, and what do you see, what will be your advice for a spiritual path, though we all say we all have our own path and we have our own calling. So maybe if you can highlight this calling part, which is something very important, and not to mix calling with escapism also, because a lot of people are looking for escapism, I'm seeing. So if you can bring about that, and maybe then you can flow with whatever you want to talk. Maybe if I have to ask something more, I will probably do that further as the conversation goes. So I'll leave it to you to talk.
Okay. So it looks like I had a sudden change in life, but when I was looking back, I realized that from the childhood, I had this kind of spiritual wish to discover the meaning of life. and in a very, very early age. And I remember when I was 3 years old, that I had this feeling as if in this world things are not exactly the way they should be, and that it's strange for me, that it should be more harmonious and more like humanistic, and everything looked very chaotic, and how to say, all these programs that we get through the TV or we get through education, how the things are, what we need, what product we need every day to eat for breakfast, what we need to wear, what we need to think. I was from very, very small age seeing that, like, this is wrong, like, they cannot program me, but I kind of saw it so easily that it is kind of programming, and people just start believing in it easily. I never believed in it. I always question it. Why this and why this and why this? So when you say the view on spirituality, it seems like the soul that is born. For me, let's say the Vedic theory and the Sanatana Dharma theory is very close to me, that the soul is born in different lifetimes, and we come with a certain experience and certain inclination towards certain things. Like me and my brother, we were brought up in the same family, but we chose very different lifestyles, and the meaning of life for us is not the same. And so I realize it's so much individuality that we have by birth already. So this is to say that everybody has his own path, and we shouldn't expect that other people have the same experience in the same way as we have, or they should do this or that, to try to program them further of what they have to do, because it is really individual journey, and it is a journey of the heart. When you mentioned the Haidakhan Babaji, some people say that he is a saint. Some people, it was kind of a story that was told by the highest professors in US about Babaji, and they questioned if he's alien maybe. So because he was actually not a regular saint, he was like a miracle. No, he's a miracle. He's a miracle. And why? Because somebody who is kind of showing in manifesting in the body in a different ages, in a different ways, without a normal birth line, the last time without the mother, father, that somebody is such a high yogi that he can rejuvenate his body for ages, or transform in different kind of manifestations. It is just a miracle that is not, we cannot comprehend it. So, there is this inclination that you would think, oh, where is this Babaji now? In which body he could be anywhere. Then you hear that he could be in different bodies at the same time in different parts of the planet. If we go in that way to search for him physically, we can really get really confused, because that kind of high intelligence can do anything that we can't imagine. He is not a human as we are humans. It's a different kind of being human. So somebody would call him avatar, somebody would call him something that descended, the God that descended, manifested in the form. And somebody would say saint, and we could accept any of these. But the point is that who really got to understand Babaji, understand that he is living in each person's heart. So you have to discover him and his essence in the heart. He appeared in the body in this beautiful place, Haidakhan Mahakam, in northern India, Uttarakhand, I must say, because this is a very special place. And he appeared here last time as somebody who is known as Haidakhan Babaji, but he was, in different manifestations in Tibet, in different traditions like Buddhism, or also people from Orient and Muslims also know about him. So he is like everywhere. And he taught his devotees here in Haidakhan also when he was in the form that he is much bigger than his form. He is the sky and he is the trees and he is the river and he is all this. And nothing of this can be really realized through ratio. So that is called spiritual experience. And it is mystical in terms of that you can't know how it happened and you can't explain it. And if you explain it, nobody would really feel the same what you feel.
You can't define it. You cannot really
you
define
just can't define it in a rational way.
In words, you
in
cannot.
a words, yeah. So all this, bhakti path is kind of based on that experience that you have in your heart and the calling that you have in your heart. And when we talk about the calling, you just start getting some ideas and feelings that you don't know where they come from. And then slowly, intuitively, you are moving on your way. Not really pushed by circumstances. Sometimes you are pushed by circumstances.
Also,
yeah, there are people that had a very hard life and they just try to find the healing and the way out. But there are also people that had too
Just a calling.
comfortable life.
Yeah,
And
they're
they
calling.
just wanted to have some meaning.
Yeah.
So we can't really say it's because somebody wants to escape the hard life. Sometimes you want to escape a perfect, comfortable life because it's just boring, and you feel there is more into life
Yes.
than what
that
is-
realization
than what
makes
we
you-
had to
Yeah.
we were taught to
Yeah.
be satisfied with or to define ourselves with. And so my journey was like that. And in the childhood, my mother was connected with Bihar School of Yoga.
Okay.
Satyananda Paramahansa at that time, and he was traveling Balkan area and he was promoting teachings yoga in a pretty much rational way, pretty much scientific way also. And my mother, as intellectual, for her that was acceptable. And so I got my first mantra. I asked for mantra when I was 10 years old. And I got my guru mantra that I didn't really know how to use. When you're in Western culture, you can't really even understand nearly what it is. But somewhere intuitively, I just said it. I want that mantra. And I did practice it for like a year or so.
Okay.
And then when I was growing up, I was really very much thinking that, there should be some kind of a real clear meaning of life. If somebody explained me Vedic theory at that time, I would probably found my answer. But nobody really told me anything except that it's philosophical question and that everybody has different answer. And that was a big pain for me.
Okay.
Yeah. So from that pain started my journey. And when I was 15, I heard the bhajan playing. One yoga teacher played bhajan on guitar. And I asked my mother, I say, I would like to learn what is this man teaching, whatever that is. She said, well, he's a meditation teacher, yoga teacher. So I started to do meditation from the 15, and at that time it was not much offering. There was no internet. There was not so much information. So I was going to each and every circle, Zen Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, for meditation only, to learn meditation and to hear more about the meaning of life. Consciousness, mindfulness is a new term. It existed before. We were practicing it all the time, but it was just not called that name.
So how, did it make any difference to you in your modern life? When you go to college or school, did it make any difference in the terms of what company you had, what friends you had, or what did they think about you or something like that? Did you felt that you were like kind of identified differently?
Well, I can say that I really felt very different from the high school, from that age, because nobody around me, all my pals and my friends were not interested in that kind of things. And in the university also, and sometime I would try to say to get that topic of yoga or something, But you know, I had relationship with my friends. It is just love and friendship and kindness and helping each other and having fun together, because I also live a young person's life.
That's
So they realize, they say, you know, we love you so much, but we really are not interested in yoga, mantra, and tantra. Yoga, mantra, and tantra. So I say, okay, seems it's only me, you know. And so, yeah, I was feeling different, and actually, I felt different also from the childhood, and there was a little bit more to it because I was a very serious sports gymnast.
okay.
So I didn't really have time to socialize in a proper way.
So
And
being a gymnast, also I think it's very meditative thing.
well, being a
Practicing.
gymnast for me was basically that you try to do something impossible.
Yeah, yeah,
Because everything that you see in gymnastics, before you really learn it, it looks absolutely impossible. Like, wow. And that's why I went there, because it's a challenge.
So you were normally practicing focusing, because there are some sports,
Yes.
gymnast or martial arts or even racket sports, which is very fast. So you need fast reflexes and a very focused mind.
Yeah.
So these things have actually probably unknowingly contributed towards developing a focused mind also,
Yes.
and not getting into those distractions.
But also a focused mind and a lot of discipline.
Yeah, and that discipline. Yeah,
Because
also.
I was also an excellent pupil, and mainly because of my parents, and because they explained to me that I can choose my university only if I'm excellent in a high school. So I was really like excellent. That was a huge pressure because I didn't have a second free. You know, and that is like a real focus, and that is also like a total discipline.
Yeah, yeah,
So, so I learned discipline, yes, and that discipline is very important for spiritual practices. Yeah.
so your upbringing and your influence from the mother, parents, all this I think in some way contributed. Like, I'm not trying to
Yeah.
stereotype it, but I think as you said, there are some things like these are also circumstances, I would say, in a way.
Yes, there are certain
And plus you have your
circumstances.
callings and your previous life path, everything all together.
Yeah, of course, I think for everybody is like that. You have a mix of everything
Yeah,
inside,
yeah,
and then you just move with
yeah,
that mix
yeah,
the best you can. But I also think that there is is a part of it where you can choose to develop yourself or to destroy yourself.
yes,
That
yes,
that we have to take care
yes.
of our bodies and of our mind and what we do in life, and is that for a good of us and other people, or is it not a good intention? And I think we are very responsible for that,
Yes.
like what we think, how we feel, and how we live, how we manifest it. So it's not all just given, and you just just crumble around and spontaneously do things, but there is also a responsibility, because I believe you could also choose to degrade yourself, and you can choose to develop yourself. There are certain points in life and crossroads
Yes,
where
yes,
we can
yes.
really choose, and we have to be responsible and to give our best, to try our best. Babaji's teachings is all about karma yoga. It's mainly karma yoga, and in this, Babaji was always he was always looking the world, the history in million of years, because he is a specialist of Sanatan Dharma, and he understands all the Vedas. And and he would say, well, in this yuga, which is I don't know how many thousand of years, karma yoga is the best way to develop spiritually, and that basically means every good action that has a good intentions with the mantra Om Namah Shivaya would get you to another level, to the peace of mind and peace of heart. And it's very important to work hard, to not to be lazy, not to be inert, and through this work to basically channel spirituality through your body, rather than only do meditation. Meditation is good as a supporting tool,
definitely.
rituals are also good, arti and all this, But karma yoga is something that doesn't depend so much on your circumstances. You can do everywhere some
Everywhere.
kind of work, and you should not be shy or feel uncomfortable to do any kind of work. You know, people say, I don't know what to do. You can always find what to do if you don't choose so much what to do, you know, because the point is to just manifest your divinity through your body, and it can be like washing. We here wash our clothes with hands.
Yeah, I do it myself. I clean.
And Om Namah Shivaya, and you do it with a clean mind and peace, and you just feel that you are in a bliss.
Yeah.
So some people are called to do certain missions, and they are super talented musicians or scientists, and that's all wonderful. But the thing is, the focus is very important. What is the focus of our life? What is the real focus of our thoughts? That we are not just, you know, letting ourselves to go chaotically
Yeah.
by our thoughts that are just out of control. And that kind of thing we can achieve if we focus on something, on certain activity. In karma yoga we focus, and that is the way we heal our mind that is going everywhere. And with mantra Om Namah Shivaya we neutralize these thoughts. So basically we get into this wonderful state of you know, just not being attached to any kind of thoughts, and slowly we start feeling that we are behind these thoughts and emotion and all this structure of personality, and we start feeling that bliss. And Amaji from Kerala, she said something very beautiful. She said, like for Bhakti path, comparing to Gana part, you know. Like in Bhakti, you can eat the fruits from the very low branch. Maybe you are not very spiritually developed, but you already can feel the nectar of God inside of you.
Yeah.
But for Gyan path, because you are not open in this way,
So this is needed.
you have to go to the top of the tree, and the fruits are just there. And it's also very hard to practice in this period of time of development on the planet Earth, and which is called Kali Yuga for Babaji. So he really insisted on karma yoga, and they all build this ashram with the mantras Om Namah Shivaya, with a lot of devotion. So then he always say, you are not building it only for this world, you are building it for another world and in another dimension, because all your energy goes to your spiritual body and to the other spiritual world. Since we don't consist of a physical body only, it is just a very small manifestation of who we really are.
So you had a pretty straight path of coming here. You probably didn't really went like a sadhu, as we were discussing, that you went to many places exploring, is this my place? You had a straight calling out from where you were living. While being in a corporate job, though you had your callings much early in life, which you were telling during your school, high school, but finally when you came after 20 years of work, so was that sudden, or was that also through some multiple trials and errors, or it was just straight here and it was like in one go you came here and settled here? You've been here for 6 years, I think, you know.
Yeah, so I think nothing is in one go if you look from the childhood, the development, and my interest in all this. But when I started to work, I was in international management, working for multinational companies, and living in China more than 10 years, because I finished Chinese language and also MBA, Rutgers MBA, so I had this combination of skills. And I just found different kind of jobs there. I also worked for some multinational companies in my country. And I had this very business-paced life, fast-paced life, and I was traveling all over the world. I loved, you know, these travels because the job was for me a tool to meet people, to learn new things, to kind of also check my abilities, to prove my abilities, to achieve certain, to have this feeling of achievement. And also I had a lot of passion for travel, for meeting new cultures and different cultures. So that was my interest, and also financially was very good to make a really good ground, because my view was that after 40, even I didn't know it in Indian tradition is like that, I would really like to focus on some spiritual project or something that is just different than all that. But I really needed that period of traveling, learning, and being successful, you know, proving myself as a person. Being married, having love, having a lot of growing and exchange through the relationship, having a family, all this was for me very important to grow and to understand what is what. And then came one, and all that time I was on a spiritual path. I had my spiritual teacher. I was, you know, really always hardworking and always very focused. And then came the time when I started to feel that I'm not learning anymore, that I'm stagnating, that I am kind of repeating myself.
Yes, yes.
And I'm not that type of
So
person.
exactly, this is what happened to me also. And
Yeah.
it happened very fast. New job, different job, and then everywhere you finish your task pretty soon, and then somebody realized, one of the owner in the factory, and they told that you will finish, and then you'll, you know, raise your hand. What do I do next? And then
Yeah.
you'll leave us. And so they didn't want me to leave, but they realized this guy, it's difficult to hold him, you know, because you have to give him something. He's like a devil
Yeah.
who has to be continually tasked, you know. So obviously I'm also a Karam yogi, so I can understand completely what you mean, because you are like a hardworking, perfectionist, passionate, and then it becomes ultimately monotonous, and then you want to constantly learn with different things, and finally when you explore everything, and that's where the last door opens for spiritual explorations. I think that's what.
Yeah, I also, you know, somehow I felt I kind of done my karma of working in that way,
Yeah.
living in that way,
Worldly
because
way.
I really tried to find some new challenging jobs, some kind of to use my experience, but to do some other things. But it was not supported by the universe. It was
Yeah.
something that was very easy
That
20 years ago was not easy anymore.
Yes.
And I felt the job that I was doing, that I'm putting like 10 times more energy and getting just a little result, it just happens. And I was ready. When we are talking about escapism, I was really ready to work hard another 10 years, another 20 years. Like I'm kind of will driven and passion driven, so for me it's not a problem to work. But I just got this message that something has to change, because the door just closed to me without any logic, you know. It
Yeah, it
doesn't
happens. It
happen.
happened to me also.
And I just felt, oh, this is a sign, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do else. So I start thinking about Haidakhan Babaji again, because this first yoga teacher that I mentioned when I was 15, he showed me the photos of all gurus.
Okay.
And that's the first time I saw photo of Haidakhan Babaji.
Oh.
And
Okay.
then he told me, you choose one guru, and then you meditate on this guru. And you can ask him any question you like, but with a deep devotion and modesty, and you will
Okay.
get the answer. And I was like, oh, finally, you know, what a technique. You know, I
Okay.
will finally get some
Wow.
answers.
Wow. Okay.
I had like always 1,000 questions.
Okay.
And then I was meditating on Babaji photo. At that age, I was meditating for a year, and I asked about the meaning of my life, and I didn't get answer for many, many months. And then suddenly, without any preparation or thinking outside of meditation, in some like laying down and laying back and just reading something,
Eureka moment.
I got
Yeah.
this kind of a daydreaming, I think it was, where I just get out of my body and of the city and of the planet Earth,
Okay.
and I felt myself as a huge universe
Oh. Wow.
with a total peace. and calmness. And I realized that actually I died. I left my body and I just experienced this total fulfillment as if I'm a star. Since my name is Tara, spiritually, it's a star, and I feel it's my true nature. That's what I am. So it is just a consciousness that is completely limitless.
Yeah, yeah.
And the inner peace that is unexplainable, like you feel very secure in the
Yeah.
vast universe,
I have had those experiences also.
like completely.
I can
And
understand.
so then but I had one regret when I was leaving the body, and that is that because I saw one like a net around the planet Earth that was very near the ground.
Okay.
And I had a regret because during my lifetime I didn't understand, I couldn't get consciously outside of this net. And then I realized that this net is a net of human emotions and thoughts.
Okay, yes, yes.
And so I had already this experience that I didn't do something, I didn't complete something very well
To go out of the net.
in some previous life. And it's when you are liberated from the body, it's very easy to see the net and to see who you are. But the moment you get into the body,
You forget again.
you forget, and
Yeah.
you just, it's so hard.
Again, you are in
We
this.
are meditating and everything and trying to get behind our personality, and to get the peace that is not dependent on circumstances and everything. And then you feel this big, how you say this, the weight of the earth. It's just like so heavy, and it's so hard. So this is why at the end I chose to live spiritual life in the ashram, because I have a perfect circumstances to work hard towards that goal, because
like
you
me,
need
yeah.
a lot of energy to get behind.
So I want to, sorry to interrupt you again now. This is something which I have also had few experiences of those bliss, and forgetting this world, this world disappears, and you feel what consciousness is, and obviously it cannot be described. And then it goes back, like yesterday only we had this discussion again, I was explaining. But now, like, you're living here, and but those experiences, like, they don't come back. They did come back for me few times, but now it's been a long time, and then I'm going through some still worldly turbulence again, and probably sometimes I feel they are blocking me, or maybe they're helping me evolve further. So I want to basically reach that state, and some people say it's a samadhi state, and like where the thoughts are totally disappeared, and it's something still remaining, so you don't cross the net. So you did you get it back, or you still have that? You think that the desire is there, or you are waiting that will come again?
Well, actually, now the point is that I have very often that experience in my body when I'm active. I don't need to sit in meditation or do the daydreaming.
Yeah, I understand. That happens to me also. But it's a little different from that, no?
Well, it's actually very, very similar to that. It's kind of that, only in the body.
Yeah.
And
I understand,
for me,
because
I think because here in Haidakhan Ashram we do the practice, spiritual practice, that is a combination of karma
yoga and devotion.
meditation, then chanting and arti, and this combination gives it, because meditation gives you this ability to go behind the mind. But when you do karma yoga, it gives you that this ability is transferred to your daily activities, and the chanting opens your heart, arti opens your heart.
I know, I also do that, but it's still different from those.
Well, to know that rationally is one thing, but if you live it really and do it every day and many years, you start experiencing it directly, and it's very
it gradually takes you there.
It gradually takes you there, but sometimes you also have very extreme experiences, like
very intense.
Like, for example, once I wanted to, I have my duty to prepare for puja, to clean the space and the temples and everything, and I was late. And I was thinking, oh my God, this is impossible, I can't do this. And at that moment, I got into the meditation while I was in the movement, in a deep meditation, and I just felt this Om Namah Shivaya, Om. I was in a total peace. I was in dimension of a peace that I would have in meditation.
You got that grace.
But
to
yeah, I
make
got
it-
a grace,
yeah.
but my body was moving 5 times faster
Yes, yes.
than
I understand.
usual.
Yeah.
So I got everything done on time, but at the same time, I was just in my, let's say, the true self. So that Babaji said, I want you to get a deep meditative meditation in the hyperactivity.
Yes, yes.
That was the goal, and I experienced how that looks like, and I was so surprised. I was fascinated with the opportunity to do that. That is possible.
So these things are also very unpredictable sometimes.
Absolutely, because our ratio doesn't have really value except to count some numbers in
Yeah.
spirituality, or
Yes.
to maybe to get the book to read while you start, right?
But when you're doing it, it happens.
Yes, so ratio is not really
Yeah.
counting in
Yeah.
this, but the point is, yes, that was, let's say, the experience that is so extreme that you know what to seek for, and then you just daily do your best, and it results in the way that you are much more in peace and conscious,
Yeah.
and not attached to. You always have thoughts, but you're not attached to these thoughts. So
Yeah.
basically, they're just flowing, and you are existing
So you can
beyond them.
Yeah. See, a lot of people say that like thoughts should not be there, but positive thoughts, good thoughts can always be there. Only
No,
thing what
that
is not
is a
needed.
prejudice that thoughts should not be there.
No,
That
I'm
is a-
saying. I'm
that
saying
is
it
a
should.
very typical prejudice, because thoughts
So I'm not
are
saying-
normal to be there.
Yeah, it's normal.
But if you're not attached, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So they basically they
Yeah.
are thoughts which are making you even happier actually.
No,
Or not
they-
even happier, but
thoughts
they,
are just thoughts.
Yeah.
If they have practical value, it's a good. They are needed for some activity. If they have no practical value, they are just blah blah blah. It doesn't
it's like
matter.
a breeze which comes and goes.
You are not there.
You're not
You
there.
are not there.
Yeah, but the
Y-
breeze
you
is
are,
there.
You are
Yeah.
behind that,
Yeah,
or you
you're
are
behind it.
beyond that, or you are just
Yeah,
in
that's-
your heart or somewhere that you are not there, but you are aware of it, and
Yeah.
you don't care about it
Yeah.
much.
Yeah,
It's that kind of feeling that you just get through the practice, and it's not a rational thing so much. The way it happens and the way it feels is not rational, right? You just have to experience it through a lot of practice. Because I remember when I started meditation when I was 15, I just couldn't even see my thoughts from aside.
Okay.
I was just a bunch of thoughts like that were, like this, for knitting this thread in a bowl. It took me years to be able to a little bit sometimes be aware
So when did you?
of these thoughts,
So when do you feel you got really detached to this level? Because another thing I feel for women to get detached is not very easy. This is probably my
Why for
observation.
women?
Huh?
Why for women?
Women generally, in my understanding, is they're more. They find it difficult to leave the materialistic world.
No, not really.
Not really.
It depends on personality.
Yeah.
And especially if you are not very much culturally defined, socially, I never let social system define me.
Yeah,
So
that's
as
why.
a woman, I don't
So
feel
you were a
it
thinker.
matters.
So you were a thinker right from very early time. That's why. But
Yeah.
so you
No,
got
but
detached.
and I met different gender people having very different experiences. No, it depends on the soul. The soul that came, how ready this soul is to get these kind of experiences. Yeah. And then, of course, personality that supports that or not. I mean, what kind of personality we have? Do we?
Because I have met some yoginis in Gangotri. I met 3 yoginis in Gangotri. Two actually. Lalita Mataji, she lives in a cave there, and one more, she also lives there. She used to live in Tapovan. And there are 2 more who are living there now. And when I compare their aura or state of mind I feel you have, you're in a much evolved state of mind. You're in a much evolved, though they are wearing those saffron and living in a cave and all that. So I've seen many yogis who are actually living there, though it is difficult to live, but I still don't see them to be that great inspiration, because the thoughts and the way of life, this is something which inspires people.
Mm-hmm.
So the kind of life and thoughts you have and the way you have transformed over a period of time is something people will not understand, and they will all flock to Gangotri to meet somebody. But there are people like you who are there in many different colored, you know, not in saffrons. So people don't really will not realize, and they a lot of people cannot read face, they can't see aura properly, like, and this is something. These are paradoxes which I come across, and this is something which always amazes me. Life keeps throwing surprises like that. So for me, like, your life and your thinking and your evolution is a very something which a lot of yogis sitting in those high mountains also don't have, I feel, because I've interacted with quite a few.
Well, I was lucky. I had a really good teacher
Mhm.
in Europe, in my country, who worked a lot with my ego. That Babaji did with his devotees, you know,
Okay.
that somebody can put you in the situations that you get out of your mind, but you don't get crazy. And then when you get out of that mind, you then start detaching from that mind. And it's still happening here in the ashram life. You know, it's kind of the universe just bring you these experiences. Somebody just provokes you in certain way. You start feeling some pains or
Right.
something.
So
You-
those
y- y-
test keeps happening still.
Tests are absolutely
Absolutely
happening
happening,
all
yeah.
the
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
and I think that's how we develop
Yeah,
from that level.
Mm.
To be able to detach from thoughts, you have to kind of detach from personality per se, in a different kinds of habits, in a different kinds of settings, in all your value system of yourself. Oh, I'm like this, I'm like that. If you, for example, are so proud that you're smart, you get in situation where everybody will tell you you're stupid,
Yeah,
or if you're
yeah.
so proud you're moral, somebody will just tell you you're the less ethical person in the world. And through these little small things, if you're a spiritual seeker, you will understand that that is just a test, and you really have to detach
Yeah.
from the feeling of identifying with anything,
Situation, yeah.
anything that you think of yourself, of anything that somebody thinks of you, of anything to think of, in order to get beyond it. And it is a very sensitive and the long-term process. So basically, when I came to the point in life where I felt I completed everything and I don't know what to do, I started thinking about Babaji again, which I didn't contact. The only second time when Babaji photo appeared after that long time ago was when I first time asked my husband, that was my boyfriend then, to come to my home, and Babaji's photo just appeared there, and I realized that he chose him for me.
Okay.
And I showed him Babaji photo, and I said, you see, he connected us. And he told me later, when I decided to come to Haidakhan, he said, you know, if you didn't show me that photo 20 years ago, I would think you've gone totally crazy. So when I felt I completed everything, I started thinking about Babaji again, because I thought he's the only one that could tell me what next. And I went to the YouTube channel. There was one simple video of him. There are many, but one of them, and somehow my eyes met his eyes, and suddenly I felt like earthquake, like there was peace and love that descended in my room,
Okay.
so strong that you can't imagine it or think about it. It's just so obvious.
Yeah.
And I was like, my God, what happened? And I felt at that moment everything changed for me, but I didn't know what changed.
So that was like a moment of change, probably.
And then well, that was moment of change after so much work on myself.
Yeah, radical. Yeah,
also.
even my moment of
You
change
know,
came after a decade of work,
but
which was subconscious.
but it depends on destiny also. Maybe
Yeah,
some people get it just without that hard work. I
yeah,
don't know,
yeah.
because they, as Vedas would say, they worked hard in the previous lives, whatever. But for me, I really worked very hard on myself, with myself, and I was really
I
kind of
also,
dedicated to it.
I was also working, but not so realizing that I'm working as a spiritual person. For many years, it was not that realization that what I'm doing is actually a spiritual kind of a effort.
Mm.
Only when I had my first calling to go to Rishikesh and had my first experience, which actually transformed me in 2015. Prior to that, I had no idea about meditation and yoga. I was just not into this. I was like not even visiting temples. I was a very different kind of person. But there was a involuntary questioning which was happening, which I was doing a lot of work, but not thinking that it's a spiritual work. And I had no guidance from my wife used to do yoga. We had a yoga teacher coming, and I told her, what you do yoga. I had in fact not even heard of yoga as a child. And when I got married, and when my wife was doing yoga, and I being in the military, I told her, this is the physical training PT we do in the morning. What you're doing? So I used to laugh at her. I said, what you call yoga is PT.
Mm.
Like being an Indian, also I don't know about yoga, and I'm trying to define yoga in my way, how I do it in the military, because most of the exercises are pretty similar.
Yeah, you had also a very good discipline from
Yeah,
the
so yeah,
military.
all that
Yeah.
actually I contributed towards this.
Mm.
Yeah, discipline is needed, and yeah, conviction, tenacity, and perseverance. All these things are needed to
Yeah.
pursue something. And like you had this moment of kind of transformation. I think it's this like moment you told, and the bliss came in the room, and same thing happened to me in the cave in Rishikesh and Baba's cave. He's also like he looks like a avatar of Shivji. He looks like actually he doesn't look like a normal human being like Babaji. He also cannot be defined as a yogi or something, and yeah, I mean then the life, yeah. So probably I'll give it back to you to continue.
Mm.
So you had this moment.
Yeah, so when I had that moment,
Mm.
I just start thinking, I want to know where is Babaji's ashram, because when I saw his first photo, I never thought about. I understood he's not in the body anymore,
Mhm.
so I didn't think about ashram.
Mhm.
I was not interested in anybody else, any other guru in India,
Mhm.
and I just didn't want to go anywhere. And now I was thinking, where is his ashram? What was he speaking? What was he teaching? Who are his devotees? What is the practice? Spiritual practice that he recommended. I just became very interested. And before that, I was not in a bhakti path.
So
I
that,
was more in a gyan path.
yeah, like me also. So you
Yeah.
actually then got lift, lifted here straight away in
I
one go.
straight
One go.
away, yes.
Yeah,
Well,
that's really fortunate.
in 7 days, I decided to come for vacation. No, for 9 days, because I was very busy with the very big contracts with some really known companies in the world, and I couldn't afford more than 9 days. And I came to Haidakhan and I saw the ashram schedule, and I had the Babaji's books, and then I got into that experience. I got into the Mahashakti Duni near the Holy Fire, and I had one very deep wish, that Babaji helped me to detach from everything that is not my true self, whatever that is,
Okay.
because maybe I don't know what that is, but he knows. And from that moment, I had also a very strong dream where Babaji basically saved me. And from that moment, I really completely changed, like in a day or two. My energy, even my body shape, even, I just looked like the same person. And I was following this schedule of the ashram very, for the sake of Babaji, because I came to understand his teaching. Whatever I thought is stupid, as somebody who was not Bhakti and somebody who doesn't speak Sanskrit or Hindi, arti chanting of 1 hour for me was like, oh
Yeah.
my God,
What am I
like
doing?
what a waste of time.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, just stupid people do this, because if they are really smart like me, they would understand everything through meditation. They don't need to chant so much.
Yeah, you are switching over from Gyan Yoga to even now devotion, the Bhakti part.
Yeah, that was a huge.
Yeah, climbing the
because
tree and
I
then coming down.
I remember, yeah, because I remember when I was in Hare Krishna invited us when I was younger, in my 20s maybe, and less, always for cakes and bhajans, you know. And I love their food, so I always came. But when they show me these murtis and the kapre, you know, the clothes and all these rituals, it looks so stupid to me that I can't explain it. I was completely rational, intellectual, you know, and so for me coming here, it was a really huge difference. I'd say you just do it for Babaji. You don't understand it. You think it's stupid, but you did so many stupid things in your life. All that smart. So many stupid. Like I was smoking cigarettes for 15 years, for example. Huge stupidity, you know. So like just don't play too smart. Just do what he recommended and let's see what happens. So I forced myself to follow the schedule. I was quite alone in a monsoon time here, not really much foreigners, and I was, you know, like a lone Western woman in 3 o'clock in the morning, going to the river to bath in the darkness with a torch, and there was like a hole jumping in the Ganga, and I did all that because Babaji said, it's good to do that. Let just have that experience. And I went through all my fears. I went through all my thoughts, my judgments. My judgments about, and I went through all this personality that thinks that she knows something about everything, you know, about spirituality, about, oh, I have experience, I work so hard on myself, like I know so many things. And the moment I chose to chant Arti, even though I think it's stupid, and even though I wanted to do something else, like sit near the holy fire and meditate, that moment, my heart opened in a magical way. And I realized, very surprised, that I never believed in God. And that is the first time that I'm admitting that I'm small and that there is something beyond me. That was the moment. That was mystical.
So this
It's magical.
So this didn't come in your room at that time?
No, because in my room it came only, I was just in that. I didn't have any ration. It didn't come to my personality.
That time it didn't come.
But now, when you start, that's my point. After experiences, we have to practice every day to a lot of small things. Then it starts to cut your personality in small pieces. All these experiences, all this schedule,
for me also,
all these situations, just cutting you in small pieces, you know.
For me, probably the first time, I also did not realize this, and I think I realized this in my next 2-3 experiences in Devprayag, in a different place. Yeah, it didn't happen to me also, I think. If I recollect.
So, and that was just the beginning, you know, these kind of really strong experiences. What happened is, even though, so I had this huge experience, I started, you know, I was all my life, I was doing physical jobs also, I was cleaning and something, but I was mostly like intellectual, who was sitting in the office doing very fine, nice jobs, highly educated and so on. And then I was cleaning the temple for Karma Yoga, and I remember the feeling that I felt so happy, as if it's the highest possible job in the position in the world, and I felt as if all the lifetimes I was just cleaning the temple. These kind of small experiences are just unexplainable.
Yeah, similar to me, you also. I was in Poland in ISKCON for a month, September 2020, for a month, and I went there and I was supposed to pay them for food and stay, and then third day somebody told, will you like to volunteer? And everybody was volunteering, and I was realizing if I don't do, then I'll be like wasting my time here. And I would, so I started working. They told me you can work in the field, the beetroot field, you have to pluck some weeds, And so I was there for 10 days. And that was the most amazing experience of my life, working in the field. Then cutting those. The guy was there's a Russian guy who was cutting the wood, and for preparing for the winter. So I was putting up that. So that was my gym. And the best thing I was doing, the third thing was they asked me, "Will you like to clean?" Because all the male over there were not very keen to clean. And so the lady who asked me, she was like little hesitant whether he'll agree to clean or not. And I was very happy. For me, like every job is like same. And and I think that's something which I really cherish more than anything else. Those 1 month of cleaning, and people used to come and they saw the way I cleaned, so they were like thrilled. The temple was never so clean before.
Yeah,
An Indian
you
guy,
had the Navy
an Indian
experience.
Indian guy doing it. So they sometimes they told me we like to have you back. I said probably let's see if God willing, if he sends me back there, I will go. It was beautiful. So I can relate to your. Sorry to interrupt you, but I had the similar things.
Yeah.
Many things which are pretty similar on your path. I'm able to recollect my instances also.
But so I came for 9 days, and the point is, there was another strange experience, mystical one. I felt home.
Felt at home.
I felt so much at home, like I never ever felt anywhere so much at home. And I was looking around me, these uneducated local people, that are like doing this simple life and simple jobs, and the village that is not even developed village. How can I feel here at home so much? It's unexplainable. Again, it's just miracle after miracle after miracle after miracle. And I was like, but I'm so happy here.
Yeah,
I'm looking outside and I can't tell you why.
I think
But
all your
inside,
experiences are
deep inside, I'm just completely happy.
this happened to me also. It's like everything what you are telling, it's happened in my life also. So this is really wonderful. Like it's kind of reminding me what you tell about my path also. It happened to me in Devprayag. I was like stuck. Sometimes you see, feet will not move. You are there, fixed. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Everything is.
It brings emotions, huh?
Yeah. This is like, and you don't come across somebody who has similar things, and the path looks pretty. Everything has happened, and you don't recollect it just like that.
Yeah.
But like
This is called satsang, yeah. Babaji said satsang is even more important than karma yoga.
Yes.
It's like the best thing that can happen to people.
You been to Gurudwara?
No.
So Gurudwara, Guru Nanak got the real Sanatan Dharma here, and Gurudwara practices exactly this Seva, Satsang and Sankirtan. In Warsaw, I used to go every Sunday to Gurudwara, and even my wife used to come. So beautiful kirtans and wonderful pravachan, the discourse, satsang, and then the seva and food. And Gurudwara was amazing. And they are all classical singers, so the kirtans are like world, class apart. So that takes you to a very different level, and they have very divine voice. Some of those ragis, they are classical ragis, and the Gurudwara singers are all ragis. They are amazingly divine. So now he's gone to London. This what you call him in the Gurudwara, the head satsangi is now in London. Wonderful guy, and from a small village in Punjab, a real farmer actually, and so deeply spiritual, so great. I used to go and meet him once a week on every Wednesday. Sunday was like this, and just to have a one-to-one satsang, spend 1 or 2 hours with him, and he was also very excited to have me there. Yeah, sorry, continue.
Well, so when I had to leave, it was such a strange feeling. I just felt it's not natural to leave this place. And I definitely will come here again for a longer time. I met a woman that was here for a few months, and I was thinking, wow, what a blessing. Like, I really would need that.
Like I'm telling you that living here, how fortunate.
Yeah.
Right from, without too much of moving around like me, you're in place by Baba straight away. He's been very
Yeah.
kind.
He's been kind, yeah. so I just after 3 years I was planning and thinking how to come financially, emotionally, life-wise, how to make this leap, you know,
So he helped there also.
this
I think.
jump. And I learned puja. I started doing a small puja in my home, and I bought a Ganesh Murti very intuitively.
Okay.
And one person told me that Ganesh can take me anywhere I like, and I just saw Haidakhan,
Acha.
and I was thinking, please take me to Haidakhan. And so I was doing that puja, and then of course my job and my emotional life and married life and everything got shaken and transforming. And once after 3 years, I wanted, in 2016, I had a huge calling to come to India for Navaratras, and I felt as if Babaji has took his body and he's somewhere in Almora. And I was looking at the map, where could I go? I have no idea about Almora and everything. And if I get a holiday from, 3 days from my work, it will not be much. And visa will not be much. So everything didn't look like a good concept to go, and I didn't get permission from the company to go. We went to instead to Bahamas for a team building. For actually, it is a reward for high achievement. When I was in Bahamas, there I realized there is a Bermuda Triangle there, and that is the place where the planes disappeared and the people disappeared. Some of them came back after, I don't know, 50 years, and some never came back.
Yeah, it's like a whirlpool.
But and that place also beyond the sea is Atlantis. It's said to be the Atlantis civilization, and the wild dolphins are there, and it all looked to just, suddenly I thought such a magical story, and I was thinking I would really love to go to see these dolphins and to go to that place to take a look to these remains of Atlantis,
take that
whatever.
Risk. Take that risk.
And yeah, take the risk. Actually, I didn't think about the risk at all. And then one friend said, but what an idea. I mean, like, what a stupid idea, like just to disappear in the Bermuda Triangle. And then I was asking myself if I'm ready to disappear. That was a very main question, actually, for my big lab.
This is also came to me, and
big change.
Yeah.
And then I was just in a second thinking, okay, if I would disappear, husband would be okay. Nobody would be really okay, but they will be okay. Essentially, financially, emotionally, they will all go over it. Mother, everybody, they will continue their lives as usually it happens.
Nothing stops in this world.
And yes, I'm ready to disappear. Like I completed whatever was
that
there.
That time you were what was your age that time? I mean that's 2016, 16.
14 something.
Okay.
14 something. I don't remember exactly. And so that thing that happened, that realization that I'm ready to disappear, gave me a huge strength to change my life completely.
So you overcome the fears.
To live my material life. And there was also a wonderful book that Haidakhan Baba spoke and he wrote. It's called The Words of Guru Gorakhnath, where he is basically telling the teachings of Guru Gorakhnath to his Shastriji, Kamalo. And it is a very small book, not many words, but between these lines is like everything. And my friend told me, you try to meditate on it, and read it really slowly. And this book basically was a door for me. I went through all my fears through this book. I basically buried my past self, and I opened the door to the new life.
It's there in the library?
Spiritually.
Is it there in the library?
Yes, it's there. Not in the library, it's in the office. You can buy it, and it's also cheap. And then I was really ready. Then everything just came into place. Money, finance, structure, way I will go. I'm going to Haidakhan for 1 year. I got fired from my job, and I was like, okay, shall I look for a new job? Or shall I now take this opportunity? Because when you are in this machine, money, you never have time to do something different or strange. And I said this is the right time, because I'm not a kind of
Just
person
take
that can leave the job to go to Himalayas. But if they fire me,
then it makes it easier.
it,
I have not
it
done it.
makes it
Somebody
easier.
else has done it.
Yeah, yeah, and kind
Somebody has made it
karmically,
happen.
and
Yeah.
somehow, yeah, and you
Yeah.
get certain
This
compensation.
happened to me also. It's
You
happened.
get certain compensation that
Yeah.
you can use for your whatever
Yeah,
trip.
yeah,
It's easier.
yeah.
And so I just, it took me like 1 month to meditate on it, and I realized, oh, now is the right moment I have to catch. This is what I'm talking about. You can decide. We can decide. There is a destiny, but we can also decide.
This idea.
And to be really, Babaji was saying you have to be brave, and to get brave over and over again. You have to get your courage over and over again, because
Yeah.
it's not easy to
Yeah,
be
it's not easy,
courageous
yeah.
and to be brave, and also to inspire other people to be brave. So so then I decided to come to Haidakhan for 1 year, and after 1 year to see what would I have as an experience and the message to continue. And I came for 1 year, and after 1 year I just felt, of course, when I came here, no time, home, real home, no time, spiritual practice, meeting a lot of people from all over the world that are coming, exchanging experiences, growing. And then I just realized after 1 year I don't have a calling or any feeling that I should go anywhere or do anything
Wow,
else.
this is something which I find here my path has been different, but before that most of the things are very similar. But here this is where I am going through a lot of movement, and as I said, use this word unpredictable, but actually it's like uh, not stable, like not stabilizing here, and unknowingly maybe getting tossed across continents from Poland here and then back and forth, and somewhere from Poland I go to some godforsaken place near Vrindavan, which is horrible, but doing some seva in a hospital, in charge of that. So probably I feel that I've been still utilized partly spiritually and because of spiritual understanding to do still some tasks in the worldly side also. But I really envy you on this, because you just got fucking in one move you came here, which is like really whatever.
Yeah, it seems like the time came for me.
Yeah, time came.
My time
Yeah.
came. It was so hard before. I remember I felt emptiness and I couldn't reach any kind of fulfillment for many, many, many years. And I was just trying so hard. But in Gyan path, Gyan, like even that mindfulness, it's all kind of Gyan, more like a Gyan. You just
It's still in the time and space.
you just can't get fulfillment in your heart like this.
That has to at a different level.
And if
Different
you're
level.
romantic and passionate person, it's very hard. Actually you need bhakti. That's what I realized for myself, because you have to give these emotions to something higher through some form, and for some reason we do need this form.
And actually, this is a very
You know.
beautiful form to have, because then it gets transformed into this bhakti and spirituality.
Yeah, but
It
the
becomes
thing
even more
is that
beautiful.
it is considered by intellectuals and the other people on the other path to be a stupid, limited thing. No, because they think
I mean,
we are
I think different.
we are worshipping the form for the form's sake, not understanding that whoever worshipped the form and really got the point, the form is the door to the divine. It's not the purpose by itself. Nobody is doing pranam to the form. They're doing pranam to the vast universe behind the form. But we as the humans need the form, our emotional structure, our intellectual structure. We need the form
Yes,
to
but at
go
some
beyond,
go beyond. Like, so I was about to ask you about
Yeah.
duality and non-duality. So you think sometime, some point of time, you'll go beyond the form, or you've gone beyond the form, or you what is your understanding that this is a duality, and then we move into duality, non-duality, and then you float in the consciousness level or something? Is there something like that?
For me, everything is experience. I'm absolutely not somebody who needs to have a big concepts and scientific proofs and processes
Yeah, I know.
to describe
Back to our old discussion.
to describe it.
Yeah.
I think I'm lucky.
Yeah.
I don't need to waste that time, you know. And so, I can just tell you one thing. When I came here first year and second year, I had Babaji's photos everywhere. Now I have 0 Babaji photos. I have only an altar, one little photo.
Yeah, and you also.
So that is what I'm talking
Yeah, I
about.
understand
I
that.
don't. I feel the presence all the time. I don't need the photo.
Yeah.
I love to
So
see.
you are actually now connected in that.
But the thing is that
Fully
it is a
connected.
tool. Like meditation is a tool. You are not doing meditation for the sake of meditation. You're doing meditation for the sake of going beyond. So this is also the same. But there is a lot of, I think, misunderstanding in spiritual world, and I have some friends who are in the Zen Buddhism path, and where there is no form. They are kind of looking, as I was looking, with a big judgment on me and the path of worshipping the form or doing rituals, because they, of course, they have no experience about it, and so they cannot understand what that can bring to you. I'm not judging them for their path. If they can get to their emptiness so easy, that's okay. But I see many people suffering. To try to get to that consciousness without form, just like this, I think it's harder. It's much harder.
I also use this.
And also, there is no fulfillment. You see, they are not so happy. Many of them. Only the one that really got it are happy. But it's harder to get this
Yeah,
fulfillment.
they are blocking something. They are blocking something.
I don't know. It's just like maybe no opportunity to express emotion. You know, somehow in order to overcome it. There is a
The barrier.
process.
There's
There
a
is a
barrier.
process where you have to admit it in order to overcome it.
Yeah.
If you don't have the way to admit it, it's very hard to overcome it. Something you
I
don't
actually
admit.
started with devotion only. My journey actually started midway from devotion only. I used to listen to chantings for almost 3 hours, 4 hours non-stop. Like I sleep at 10 o'clock, suppose, until maybe 1 o'clock. I'll be listening till the time I'm, dozed off. And in the morning, I'll again go put it in my car, and it was 90-minute drive to my office, and I'll continue listening that. Even in office, if I get time, I will just put it. But there were, disturbances because somebody comes in. But that dedicated movement of listening. So I did practice, and I still practice, and off and on. Not it was very regular. Now it's becoming irregular. Like I sometimes do it, sometimes. But I have not. The only difference I see is that I have not developed any kind of routine now. Maybe because of my constant movement. Because now I'm wanting to stabilize and finalize a routine. Like that's what I'm looking for now. And you have been here and stabilized and got a routine, doing everything what you feel, because he's given a direction, he's given a way, and you're following it, and it's nice. That's I feel is okay. So, anything else you like to convey? It's been 1 hour now. You want to ask anything to wind up?
I think it's very just important to be authentic and just to follow your path and be brave to pursue your dreams. Either they are material or spiritual. At the same time, to be cautious and not that much stupid, just to keep a common sense, and that is not easy to balance, but it's necessary.
Yes.
And
these
just
are
to pray
crossroads.
for a little luck that you get it right. So
Yeah, this is a very beautiful point, that one should be authentic, not get the ego in between, and follow your heart, because that's what is authenticity. I think it's when we get the mind in between, the crossroads get created by our own minds. We have to get out
ego
of it.
is a thing that we discover over and over again, because you have this ego and then you have a spiritual ego, and then the guru is the key. If you have a guru, he is the key to teach you and to put you on your place. But if you don't have a guru, you should really have a good friends that you are listening to and that are open enough to tell you things that you are not doing well or so. And
So
and
satsang
that's
is
a
very
big
important.
blessing, because this is not a satsang.
Satsang
it is
means
somebody,
like regular conversations.
it's somebody tell you openly about your weaknesses, and that is we rarely have that kind of friends. Oh,
Yes,
sorry, but
yes,
what you're
yes.
doing and the way you're doing is not okay.
Yeah,
And you look very much ego driven, or you know, and that somebody tells you that with love, and somebody that
yeah,
you really
yeah.
trust, it's
Yes,
really rare.
yes, yes.
Either you have people that just judge you, or you have good friends that just don't want to tell you what they really
Most are like
see,
that.
because they think you are not ready for it, and they will just, you know, ruin the relationship.
Yeah,
But it's
it
so
happens.
important, because actually, I realize here in the ashram only, which is absurd that I came at the end to the ashram to live. Because for me, all my life, my opinion was that you should be spiritual inside the world. You should never like go. But then I realized ashram is also the world, because so many people come. We have festivals here, and then we have a lot of interrelation, and there is a lot of work also. So basically, this is also the world. It is just the world that gives you more opportunity to be focused on spirituality, and you have a much more support for that. That's definitely. But it's the last thing I thought that I will live in the ashram. That was I'm doing everything opposite of what I was thinking, what I got to what I was thinking about myself, you know. And anyways, I want to say that the main way that we are developing spiritually is also through the communication with other people, and to the problems that we have with other people. And this is my discovery in the ashram, because I didn't get that aspect. It's not in the schedule.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not in the books much. Everything is in the books, in the schedule is about, oh, you just meditate, you just do this and do this.
Life is a book.
But actually,
Book of life.
no, the other people that are around you, and your interactions and reflections with other people and situations are the key of the development. And you can't develop or get to your real reality and the real grounding and the real progress without it.
Yeah, every situation you have to take as a learning. What learning is there in that?
But it's very hard,
Very hard,
because
yeah.
there are very painful situations.
yes,
Because when you are in a spiritual place like this, all your pains will get out. You will have to face everything about yourself, and it's not easy. So people say, well, you're blessed, it seems like a nice life, but they don't understand. I have to face myself, all my pains, all my weaknesses, all my prejudices about myself, all the time. It's very tough. Fortunately, I'm ready, and I just am committed. But my point is, it's not an easy life. Or what they say, oh, how you financially are here. We cannot, because we are not financially. I tell you one thing, if you're brave enough to really make a difference, finance will come to you.
Yeah.
That is the first thing that you are really ready.
Yeah, it
And then
happens.
other things will come. It's not other way. You can have a money, you can come here, you can last 2 days if you're not ready. Because that kind of facing yourself and pain you go through is very intense.
Yeah, I know. I've gone through
So,
that.
so this is the part people don't talk much about. So it looks only romantic. It's you just get everything you need to understand what is your true self and what is not. But it is also through the hardship, and there is a lot of bliss,
Yeah, yeah.
and there is a lot of hardship too.
Yeah. Yeah, for a lot of people, they are still stuck at a spiritual entertainment level, actually.
Yeah.
I call it, like most of people are like armchair entertainers, you know,